Okay, people. Okay, right. I guess I'm gonna be that guy that talks about topics that people ain't really talking about. I want to give a shout out to these African men that I've just come across right now. So let me give you a bit of detail. I'm actually not well, so I'm just looking around and stuff, and I'm coming across content and stuff, and I've come across this right. So it's this African man, and he's telling us something about what happened um, between well, what's going on over there in Africa, basically, right? And the thing is, there's a relation going on right now. You see, to condition the black race, shall we say, you know, we could go all the way back through slavery topics and blum blum blum. So a lot of you know about that already. So what? Let me tell you one thing I've noticed all my life, um, especially in the UK and in America, but I've noticed more so in the UK. That black people had more trust in other races than they did themselves. So like how the black you can see black people are warring each other. It's like we won't come together. We got more trust in like say the white man or if some parts Asian man. Other races. You know what I'm saying? It's the same old deal over there in America, right? Now this is all down to slavery and injecting us into their way of life, should I say? I can't think of the right word to use, but inject is the good way. Um, so, like I said, I noticed that between the UK, America, blacks, when it comes to the populations of, those in the country, you know, we like supported other races more than our own, which kind of made sense because we ain't got nothing in it. You don't see black people owning shops, stuff like that. You don't see that, you know. Well, don't let me get into that because that's another subject. So, like I'm saying, you don't see that, right? So, what I'm trying to say is this: it looks like it's starting to happen over there in Africa. We're gonna play something right now. I'm gonna let him do some explaining. I will stop and talk here and there, not too much though, because a lot of it's already well explained and stuff. But I'm just gonna point out a few things where I can show you the relationship. You understand between like these countries too, the blacks in these countries. You understand? So without further ado, should I say? I'm gonna play this video. You're gonna hear about a situation that happened with an African man and a Chinese man, and like I said, I'll stop and chop. All right, I'll stop and chop.
And I've seen in some countries, it's usually the African manager that tells everybody else, no, we can't raise your salary. Sorry, if you don't like it, we're going to get somebody else. You will never see the foreign national say, no, we're not raising your salary. No, they're going to use an African national to tell you guys to shut up.
Okay, so any relation, UK, America, they use one of us to make us know the message, to tell us the message. Ring any bells? Let's keep going.
Okay, what's up, everybody? I hope you're all doing good. Zach Mwikasa.
In fact, let me just give some pointers. I remember like they used to do. Well, I can point at UK, the Corona incident. They had that Isis Andra guy. I can't. Isis Andrew. I don't know what the hell his name is. And it also had the running man from Jamaica. You understand? Passing the UK message. Jeez, take the vaccine, blah, blah, blah. And as for America, I remember a few shootings that happened. Then they would have a black person. At one point, they was having black people kill black people, as in police. But I remember, like, what I'm trying to say is, like say there was a cops killed a black kid. Then they'd have a black person speak up, like, in the police force, do all the talking. I remember that period too. But that's just two little, I'm sure there's many more. Some of y'all are probably thinking of some big points right now. But anyway, let's go.
Black warrior, most vicious puncher Africa's ever known. Sounds good, doesn't it? So today is a beautiful day. I'm in a good shape, in a very good mood, because we got very good news. So let's share this news together. So I bumped into this very interesting incident, a very interesting video of Chinese national flying into Africa with Ethiopian airline. And within the flight, something very interesting happened. They were trying to understand what he had in his pocket. I think we're going to look first before we make any comments. Let's watch.
Abachina kutanga batubba mu nnyonyi naye muyina baabo balabi Abachina kutanga batubba leero mu nnyonyi naye tubalina batubba bano abayaya ogera okubeera mu nsawo ng'amasimu temuli laputopu bazibbye ne ssente bazibbye.
God damn, man.
It takes a lot of guts to block somebody like this when you're not 100% sure. Really. Do you agree with me? You need to be 100% sure of what you're doing, because if you don't find what you're looking for.
Yeah, but what I would say to that, for him to stand up in that whole commotion there, he looked like he was sure he took it. He's got his hands on him already. He's sure he's got it. You're probably thinking he's not 100% sure, but the way it looks, he's 100% sure he's got it. He knows he's got it. That's why he's saying, come, you check him. I'll hold him. He's holding him down right there. Dude, sure, he knows he's got it. You know what I'm saying? He knows he's got it.
To be very embarrassing. Very brave man. They found the money. That's manhood to another level.
Excuse me.
I told you. Oh, there are many wallets. Look at the shame. That shame in the eyes of the Chinese person.
No, it is not the end.
So they're over there doing what they're doing to Africa, bullying, beating, putting them in slavery and that, and just like basically raping the country. Do you understand? Right now, as we speak, trying to take over the country. And now look at him with his head in shame because he's being caught robbing from all these people. He's been taking their wallets. He's one of those people that, you know, when the dippy pockets as they walk past. He's one of those, so.
Take him to police. Yes, take him.
See, I told you. This is very interesting, fellas. There's so much lessons in here. So basically, let's get back to the basics. Very simple. They were in a flight where somebody noticed that he had lost his money or his wallet or something very similar. Spoke to his friend. His friend was very brave. Then the other friend might have seen the Chinese guy pickpocketing, actually, pulling the wallet out of the pocket of the other African national, who apparently happened to be Ugandan, and go sit down. So this person, this Ugandan brother, saw everything, and he was brave enough to stand up and say, you know what, we're going to go to the Chinese guy. Instead of sitting in his seat and crossing his arms, wondering what happened to the money. Oh God, maybe it's the Chinese. Maybe we should be courageous enough and go and confront him. He stood up and went to the Chinese guy and said, you know what, fella, you need to show me your pockets. I need to see what you got. That is very brave. That is very brave. Why do we have to talk about these type of things? Because most of us don't believe the Chinese can steal. Because I've witnessed this firsthand by myself. I was traveling in a country in Africa, in the center of Africa. I'm not going to mention the country, just trying to avoid issues.
Before we get too deep into this, because it's mad interesting, I want to try and show my points to why I'm doing this, right? What he just said, most of us wouldn't believe the Chinese would steal because the Chinese are now like it's like blacks in the UK. It's like Chinese are going over there and they're ruling shit now, right? Get me? It's like blacks in the UK, like whites are ruling shit. So blacks don't think, a lot of blacks, not all, a lot of blacks don't think like the white man would steal from them like that. They can put all trust in. Now listen, and not even just the white man, the other races, because they've seemed to got this way in life where they're doing better, much weller. So it's like the whole money. Have you noticed, like, you could have somebody rich, a celebrity, and people would rather throw money at them than somebody poor? It's the same kind of thing like that. Do you understand? Anyway, I don't want to say too much. Let's get back to this.
You know what it is. People are very sensitive about this type of subject. When you point fingers at, whatever lens you happen to have an experience, which most of the time is negative. So what happened in that place was we were, communal bus where, Africans in many countries in Africa, people use buses. It's like mini buses to travel from one spot to another. And as we were traveling, there was one fella that was complaining that he had lost something. And he was 100% sure it was the Indian guy sitting in a bus right next to him who took it. So he had the courage to express himself. He expressed himself saying, "You took my stuff from my pockets. Can you please give it back to me?" Guess what happened? Everybody in the bus stood up screaming at the guy. Everybody, meaning all the Africans in the bus, stood up screaming at the African man who said that the Indian dude took something from his pocket. What?
Okay, then. See, another message right there. Another message right there. That's how it was. Like, everybody will be in denial. Like, those are the same race, though. Get me out, like the black race. You get me? Just like I'm saying, like, more trust in other races than they have for each other. Going back to that same point. You know what I'm saying? And we see that today. We see that today.
What are you doing? Why are you so disrespectful? Do you think this Indian guy will leave India and come and steal stuff from you? Who are you? Have you looked at yourself? They disgraced him. And I saw that by myself. Luckily, there was a respectable man, an ancient soldier, probably in his 60s, late 60s. He said to the Indian man before he left, he said, "You know what? With all due respect, sir, just to end this thing down and put it down to the ground, please show me your pocket. Show me your pocket so everybody is safe, so we know it's not you." The Indian guy refused to show his pocket. The man said, "You're gonna show me your pocket before you leave." He forced him. When he showed his pocket, yes, he had the thing that the guy said he stole. I think it was a watch or something. Very shameful. Everybody was ashamed. Some were shocked to see that the Indian guy could steal something from an African. Yes, you look at this Chinese man, you don't know, maybe he's been doing this for years. I mean, they found in him not just one wallet, but multiple wallets of people who actually are realizing that they lost their stuff. So literally, this is a very professional thief. If he's a professional thief, therefore, this could mean this is not the first time he does this. You don't know, maybe this guy takes his flight.
It's the same it's the same concept of, you ever heard that the police like stopping black people all the time while they let like the other races go through with the drugs? Let's say the white race, because that's more common. Police have been too busy stopping black people and white people get to go through with the drugs. You ever heard that before? You ever heard that saying? Well, it's a true saying, but have you ever heard it? Same thing. You get me? Everyone's got trust in the, you know what I'm trying to say? Well, no, it's not the same thing. That's a bit different. But I'm just trying to say, yeah, like showing love to other races more than your own. You know what I'm trying to say? Not trusting your own. That's a downfall of certain races. I can't speak for other races to say they go through that same thing, but I know black people do. We all can see it. You understand? When it comes to the black race, you understand? We show more love to other races than we do ourselves.
From China to Africa, he comes and steal things, steal stuff, steal money from people, put it in his pocket, reimburse his ticket to himself, and he has a good life. Another thing happened to me
or should I use the word trust? Should I use the word trust? Or is it love? I don't know.
Southern African country. I'm not going to mention the name. We were in a train, myself and a friend of mine named Philip. Philip was more experienced than me. He had been there for much longer than I had at the time. So what happened was we sat on the first class in the train. Obviously in the train you get different classes. First class, third class, first class economic, whatever you call it. First class obviously is more expensive than the other classes. On that day, we specifically made a choice to buy a ticket.
Did you just mess up on saying first class, second class, third? You got first class, you got second, you got third. Obviously, just like it says on the tin.
First class, so we could enjoy the experience as we were traveling far. We entered the first class wagon. In the first class wagon, we were the only black people. Everybody else was different. And they were laughing, they were having a good time. Now the controller guys come into the wagon. And the first thing they do, they go past the other people from different races. They come straight to us. Please show me your ticket. I was ready to show my ticket. My brother Philippe said, "No, I'm not showing my ticket. Before I show you my ticket, you're going back to ask everybody their ticket first. Then you're going to come to me. Then I can talk to you." This is very very disrespectful to me. I cannot accept this. They're trying to scream. He said, I'm not going to scream with you. I'm just telling you, you know what? Before you see my ticket, you're going to check everybody's ticket. Because I think this is profiling and racism. The train stopped, literally. They had to call the police to come in the train so they could get us to show our ticket. And I was fearful. I was scared. You know, it was my very first time. Not so experienced. Then Philip said to me, you know, chill, brother. Relax. We're going to get to the end of this. So the man in front of the police was obliged to go through the process. He went to everybody else and asked for their ticket. And by the time he went through the last person, none of the 7 guys had a ticket. Of all these people we respect, none of them had a ticket. We were the only people in that wagon to have the ticket, legally. People in front of us, people behind us that most of you respect had no ticket. Yeah, you respect them by appearance. You just look at them, you think they're never poor, they don't have issues, they don't have financial problems, they will never cheat, they will never lie. It was embarrassing. But
racial profiling.
it was such a great moment for me and Philippe at that time. So the lesson is simple. Be courageous, be brave. When you...
Lesson for me, for my part of the story is this. You know, it's in the chain reaction. Racism clearly hasn't gone nowhere. You know what's funny, right? Let me give a little breakdown now. Thanks to this brother Zach. Thank you very much. You understand? If you ever come across this content, blah, 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 that I've used of yours. You know what I'm saying? Respect, because it's a good point. You've made 2 different points out of this. You're making a point and I'm making a point from it. But there is definitely a connection. You understand? You know what I'm saying? And it's, listen, I know I'm not educated enough to sit down and break it down in a nice way to y'all, you know, very intelligent. Like, I just know my thug way, you know what I'm saying? And that's a lot of hiccuping and stopping. So I won't waste my time trying to explain it to y'all. But I know, I see the design, I see the makeup, I see how they design the Matrix. I know what they're doing. Do you understand? I know what they're doing. You see, when you enter people into a state of poverty, right, they start fighting each other, hating at each other, stuff like that. You know, once the mind gets to that state, and then you put things out in the media in that way, it's like attack each other, stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? With a nice beat that gets everybody, you know what I'm saying? It's all part of the parcel. Damaging of our foods and stuff like that, making us much weaker. Do you understand? Get me? We're not evolving like natural nature is. Look at nature, look at life. All evolved, got these little powers electrocuting each other and stuff like that. Venom and all, and humans, we just the same. Wasn't there monkeys first? I'm not claiming that story, but a lot of y'all go with changing from evolve from monkeys, innit? Well, that's not my tale. But it would explain why some people have got like fair hair, if that's the truth, right? Anyway, boom. Like, listen, let me say this, right? It's a common thing. It's a common thing. You get me? And it's all down to control. But the thing is this, right? I'm glad he's noticed this because it happens every day. Do you understand? Once you beat down, once the black mind's beat down to a point where you're hating on each other, then, you know, and you look at the other groups that making money, then you're going to put trust into them. You're going to think they're the saviors. You understand? But really, it's just an illusion. It's designed that way so you hate each other. But people won't understand that. They will never get that. And people will never understand the fact that they can be brainwashed. They will never get that. That's crazy. And they're brainwashed as we speak. They're brainwashed from watching silly things like EastEnders and stuff like that. I mean, it's the most farthest thing from life, but people watch it and they adapt it to that and they become that. In a way. Oh, I don't know. I can't watch those things. I started watching TV like 17 years ago. So yeah. And that's a message to you TV licensed people. Stop effing with me. Get me? Yeah, anyway. Goodbye, y'all. Goodbye. And Tuli Pit. Yo, blessings. I hope y'all understand the message in the you know, in the glass bottle. Because definitely is a message in the glass bottle. Peace.